There has been a lot in the news, and really it's a point of awareness that all of us really need to think about. You've got companies that are hedging bets on water as a commodity. There is so much that we take for granted in the United States. There are people that go to bed hungry. There are children who do not have lunch. This is something that's very near and dear to me and to a lot of people. We are very happy to have on Ben Moore of the Ugly Fruit Company. Ben has pioneered just what I think is a fantastic business model. Here's a guy who looked at food that was possibly bruised or something that just would not be acceptable to some major food chains to market to their customers. Although all of it is completely edible. I really would like you to listen to this next interview and think about farming. Think about the availability to food that we have here in the United States, and thank your lucky stars. Ben, thanks very much for being on Greater Good Radio.
Hey, thanks, Bob. I appreciate you having me on.
I am a true fan of what you folks are doing. Can you tell our listeners, please, how you got this idea, how it started, and where you're going?
Yeah, so to the listeners, is everybody clued in on what we do? Should I give a quick explanation of that, or should I just jump right in?
Yes, please. No, give us a whole detail.
Okay, awesome. So I'll give you the 30,000 foot flyover.
Okay.
So basically, what we do at the Ugly Company is we prevent food waste by upcycling ugly fruit that would normally get tossed out at our farms here in Kingsburg, California.
Mm-hmm.
And we do that by taking ugly fruit, we dry it out, make it into nice, healthy snacks, repackage it, and then we sell it at stores across the United States.
Okay, and you're a farmer yourself, correct?
Yeah. So my family has farmed here in Kingsburg for 4 generations now, including me. And before that, we farmed out in Kansas, way back when.
Wow. With respect to food instability, things of that nature, I really applaud you for doing what you're doing. Can you tell us a little bit about the process, how you got this idea?
Yeah, so I kind of like to tell people that, the idea was really formed just kind of on the seat of the tractor because, when you're out driving tractor, driving truck, you have a lot of time to think and there's nobody to talk to most of the time.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
So yeah, seeing fruit get thrown out, whether it was at our farm when I was a kid or alongside my dad. He had a commodities business where he would haul manure to different farmers, and he would take ugly fruit that farms were throwing out, and he would haul that back to dairies for cattle feed, and they would kind of do some horse trading, on the back end of it.
Okay.
And so right, when I was younger, I'd ride along in the truck with him, and we'd go pick up these 25-ton loads of fruit. And we'd just be dumping them out at dairies, sometimes 4, 5, 6 times a day.
Yeah.
And it's, it's kind of normal, it's just what you grow up with, whatever.
Sure.
But every time, we hook up to a load of fruit, we always reach up in the tanks, grab a handful, wipe them off in your shirt, and, you eat them while you're driving truck.
Right.
And it wasn't until I got older and I started driving truck myself and helping my dad out. You start to kind of realize, like, man, this is a lot of fruit. This is just ourselves. We're dumping 100 to 150 tons a day, and that's and that's not even a speck on the surface of what's going on just around here.
Sure.
So when the idea when I really started thinking about it, it was after I'd gotten out of the Army, and I had started a trucking company myself alongside my farm, and I had a little bulldozing operation. And I really missed that sense of community, that sense of purpose that we had in the Army.
Right.
And I was kind of just getting a little bit disenfranchised with just being out on my own. And I didn't really feel like I was tied into anything bigger than myself. And then there was two hurricanes. I think it was in 2017. There was one in Houston it was pretty devastating, but it seemed like, the female response was good.
Sure.
Most people had the resources they needed to get by.
Mm-hmm.
But then right after, maybe 2 weeks after or something like that, there was one in Puerto Rico. And then
Yeah.
reports start coming in like, hey, there's not enough food, there's not enough water, there's people are scrounging to get by. And just that day alone, I'm kind of reading through those news reports.
Mm-hmm.
I think I hauled 3 or 4 loads of fruit myself and dumped it out. And we weren't just at this point in my life, we weren't just dumping it out at dairies. We're just dumping it out in huge holes,
Yeah.
on fields that weren't planted, because a lot of those dairies had shut down. So now the fruit wasn't even going to cattle feed, and it's just dumped out wherever is the most efficient, because it's essentially viewed as waste at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Even though every piece of fruit in those loads, in some form or another, could be consumed by a human,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's just one of those kind of light bulb moments where it's like, man,
Right.
people don't have food here, and we have so much food here that
Yeah.
we don't know what to do with.
Yeah.
So finally, I just really, I sold my bulldozing company and just really applied myself to trying to figure out what the right solution would be that worked for everybody.
Well, having your epiphany, or that moment that you just described on the tractor, is usually the spark of something amazing. And I really just think that that's what happened here. And as we're having our conversation, my head goes back to Willie Nelson and Farm Aid. And I have to ask you, because I'm a New Jersey resident. We broadcast out of New York City. We have farms in our listening area, and I always had on my mind. They say that farming is a passion. It's in you, but can you enlighten us? And it seems like with what you have done and other farmers with, the talking, farm to table type of things. And I think this works along those lines. Has the farming industry hopefully come of age where it can be profitable for farmers? And when I say profitable, not just, okay, well, listen, I invented this piece of fruit that will cure cancer, just the day-to-day work, because farming is still, I believe, they categorize it as the most dangerous work environment described by the government.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I'm actually looking at my hand right now, and I've got a 4-inch gash on my hand that I did on Sunday.
Oh.
I was working on something, and I'm trying to see if I need to go to the doctor. I got it all patched up myself, but but yeah, it's funny you say that.
Yeah.
Farming is it's an old industry. I mean, we've been doing it for hundreds of thousands of years. Thousands of years, I think, at this point. I guess I don't really know that well, but I love farming. My family loves it, and it's something that I really would love to stay doing, but it is tough.
Yeah.
It's a maturing industry, and it's really, really tough as a small operation to
Sure.
make it go. And I personally don't know what the future of farming is.
Right.
There's hardly anybody my age that is still an owner operator, that's their sole career.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could say it was more in my dad's generation, but
Sure.
in my town, most people were farmers at my grandpa's age, and now it's down to very few of us. So yeah, I don't know what the future of the industry is.
Yeah. Well, you are the first farmer that I have ever interviewed, and it is an absolute pleasure. I mean, we have in our surrounding area, what they're doing now a lot is the indoor farming with respect to lights, hydroponics, things like that. Do you see anything around you that mimics that, or I know you're still outside in the tractor, but are you seeing more of this happening?
Yeah, I've read quite a bit about some of the things that like Amazon is doing with fresh vegetables, and their goals to deliver them real quick, and they get more cuttings out of spinach and stuff. Yeah, and another example I can give that's different than something that's that modern. You look at the raisins that we used to farm, even when I was a kid, but like my grandpa had planted. we would average a ton to a ton and a half per acre of raisins. And we dried them on the ground. They were dried in trays. Almost all the labor was done by hand.
Sure.
And now you have methods of growing raisins that you're going to average over 4, maybe 6 tons an acre,
wow.
Which, in just that 40-year span, I mean, that's pretty incredible. 30-year span, that's pretty incredible improvement. And that has just come down to, more scientific farming methods, different trellises, different ways of, different rootstocks combined with different vines and different breeding they've done. So farming is there's always research going on. There's always improvements going on.
Yep.
I'm just not sure, when does it make sense to make it so crazy scientific indoors versus using the outdoor resources that we have that are pretty well figured out at this point.
Yeah. Well, listen, Ben, I can't thank you enough for being on Greater Good Radio today. Please tell our listeners where they can find you, how they can buy your products. Give us everything.
Yeah. So the easiest way to find our product is if you just go on our website, on our homepage. We have a map that we keep pretty updated that you can zoom out wherever you live. You can see what's closest. In the Northeast, we don't have nearly as much distribution as we do, in California and Southern California.
Right.
Some of our biggest partners are Whole Foods. We're not in Whole Foods out there in your area. But what can really help us is if you go to your store and we're not there, if you just drop a line and tell the manager, hey, can you get this in here? That would be great. Great assistance for us.
All right. Well, you heard him. Everybody, get to your store and come on. Let's push to get this over here.
Yeah, and I will say, and you can also order from our website. I think it's $15, free shipping, anywhere in the lower 48.
Okay.
And you can try it at your door. So our website is theugly.company, and it's .company, not .com. There's all the .coms were taken when I went to go do that. So. Okay.
Now, is it ugly? Just for clarification, is it UGLY or UGLI?
UGLY. Yeah, theugly.company.
Gotcha. All right. Thanks very much. And look, love to have you back at some point in the future.
Yeah, I'd love to check in if there's any questions you have or anything you want to know about California farming or food waste. Please drop me a line. I appreciate it.
Great. Thanks a lot, Ben.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Take care, buddy.